Welcome, Peter, into frame as well. We're live from SecT. Well, almost live anyway. We're recording this, but it's in the stream. My name is Johan Rudberg Möller. I'm here with Peter. And Abe.
Yeah.
And we just got off stage from delivering the first talk at SecT this year. How was it?
I don't know. The audience has to say that. But
Yeah, that's true.
I feel better now after giving the talk.
That's good. I heard you were up late last night finishing it.
Yeah. It's been a long night. I was expecting to give it on Friday. So
Right, with short notice.
There was a short notice rearrangement where I had to give it one day earlier. So I had to push accordingly.
Yeah, lots of coffee, right?
Yeah. That's what coffee's for, right?
That's true. So the talk was about hacking cloud pets, but also about Chinese surveillance.
Yeah.
Those are two quite
but both of them were like funded by different open funds.
Yeah.
Two of them were funded by Open Technology Fund.
Yeah.
And one of them was funded by Mozilla.
Yeah.
And both and Human Rights Watch was behind
The Chinese ones. Yeah.
And so all three of them were sort of community-funded efforts to make the world a better place.
Yes, you could say that. Yeah.
Yep.
So do you find that that's a common thing for the kind of assignments that you get, or is that becoming more and more common?
I'm not sure, but we have gotten a lot of work like this over the years, like a lot of open source projects that apply to the Open Technology Fund to get a pen test. We got a lot of tests like this. So it's been something we've done a lot of. And another kind of similar app that we looked at back in the day was Smart Sheriff in South Korea, which was like this app that the South Korean government by law ordered that every child in the country has to have installed.
Wow.
So that the parents can do better parenting, like control, like at what hours the child can use the phone.
Parental control for real.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, that's a bit interesting because I'm not an expert at South Korea, but I don't think of them like with China, you expect them to not be so friendly to human rights. But was there any background to why South Korea wanted that?
I'm not really sure. I mean, it's a very different culture, so I'm Spanish, I'm not Korean, so I wouldn't be able to talk much about the culture and stuff. But it seems to be something cultural, like they rely more on the state to protect the people or something like this. Yep. They seem to have some reliance on that, while I'm personally very wary of governments and things like this.
Yeah.
But some countries, it seems to be like they trust more like daddy state or something. And they trust that the government is going to do the right thing for the people or something. Maybe it's something along those lines, but I'm speculating. I'm really not sure.
Would you say that there's a difference between the South Korean app and the Chinese app, which seems to be more geared towards surveilling a specific part of the population?
Yeah, I mean, they have really nothing to do. Like one thing, like the South Korean app was more about protecting the children in theory. I mean, that was the intention to avoid that children look at, I don't know, adult content, or they use the phone at unwanted hours, or control what apps they have installed, things like this. So it was supposed to protect the people. The problem is it was a government contract, so they gave the contract to the lowest bidder, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course they did a crappy job, and we found a lot of vulnerabilities on that app.
Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, it's all public, so we can talk about Smart Sheriff all day if you want.
Yeah, I mean, what did you find?
It was really broken. Like at the beginning, in the first round, it was using clear text HTTP.
Yeah.
So like all the traffic in this app that is supposed to protect children was in the clear. So if the child or the parent were in a coffee shop or something, you would see like as they log in, like the password and the phone number.
Not great.
Personally, not great. And another funny finding we had was what we call the bully API. You know, like a bully, for those who are not native English speakers like me, maybe they don't know. It's like this kind of guy in the class that screws around with all the other children, tries to make the life of every other child in the class miserable. Sure. So this kind of child had this API with this app that they could call, and you could ask it like, hey, this is the name of the phone number of the child I want to mess with. And then the API will tell you, okay, this is the parent phone number. And with that, you can already do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But the only other thing you needed to log in as a parent in the system was the PIN of the parent. Because once you had the parent phone number, you only needed the password, and then you were in, right? Which was actually, the first version was just a PIN, 4 digits, so not a lot of security.
Not even a password.
Yeah, not a lot of security.
Wow.
But the funny thing is, the API not only gave you the phone number of the parent, it also gave you the PIN as well.
Oh, that's good.
In clear text. So that's why we called it the Bully API, because it gave you like everything.
Wow.
Like only knowing the phone number of the child you want to mess with in the class, it would give you like the phone number and the PIN of the parent, so you could log in the system as the parent. From there, you can do like all kinds of nasty stuff to the child, because of course the app was to control the phone usage. So you could, like, for example, say, oh, this child is not allowed to use the phone all day, or or anything, or they cannot use like any of the cool apps that they like. You could like really mess a lot with them. And so we called it the Bully API for this reason. It was perfect for bullies,
Wow, that's just incredibly bad design.
Yeah. We think it's because they probably put some intern or something developing this, because you could see like a lot of code that looked like copy pasted from like Stack Overflow and stuff like this.
Classic.
So it looked like somebody like out of university or something like this.
You also said that about the Chinese app that would.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I was expecting better. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was English constant names, which you.
Yeah.
So presumably there's English in the coding.
Yeah, I think that might be to do because like how do you write like Chinese characters in a SQLite database field, right? Like they have to use normal quote unquote normal hours characters, right?
Yeah. But Java and others, they support Unicode now.
Yeah, but I don't know, for database column names and stuff like this, maybe the kanjis would be a little bit messy, right?
Yeah.
I think we might be getting slightly off topic, but that's a very interesting question.
What I was interesting if there was any obvious signs that it had been development by non-Chinese, but it's probably just Chinese people using English in coding.
Yeah, I think so, but we can only speculate. I mean, it's unclear, and the apps, especially the IOP one, it was huge, so it's difficult to jump to conclusions.
Sure, and that's an entire system as well, based on a bunch of other data sources.
Yeah, exactly. We just looked at the app, but it turns out they are correlating this with Wi-Fi sniffers, with face recognition in CCTV, and they are correlating all this data.
Do you know if the IJOP app is only deployed in the Xinjiang region, or if it's more widespread?
That's the assumption, but I'm really not into politics. Sure. We only did the technical stuff, and to be honest, I'm not really sure about what happens in China or anything.
But as a follow-up to that, now that you have been publicly talking about your work with the Human Rights Watch guys and looking at the Chinese surveillance apps, would you say that you consider yourself a target for Chinese surveillance, or would you be comfortable traveling to China now, for example?
I'm not really sure, because we only did the technical stuff, and I don't think they really care. Like they can perfectly argue that Google and Facebook know a lot about us. In even, I'm not saying more than they know about their citizens, but pretty close, right? Like they really know a lot about us, like what we do and our age. And so the Western world also has its own problems. I don't think.
No, that's true. But I'd say the difference is that information is voluntarily given most of the time. Rather than forced by police.
True.
There's a slight difference, but you wouldn't have any qualms about traveling to China, even though you've been public about your parts in these investigations.
I haven't thought about it, to be honest.
Well, all right.
But yeah, maybe it could be a problem, but I don't think they really care.
Yeah, maybe they'd force you to install the BXAQ app.
Maybe, but I think they don't really care. Like, why would they care? Like, it's really like we're just like a drop in the ocean. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like a government against like some techie guys like looking at code. Like,
sure.
What like we're just answering some questions. Like the human rights activists ask, like, are they collecting this data? Yes, no. We looked at the code. We say yes, no. Yeah. And is that going to put me in jail? I don't think so. I mean,
well,
presumably they like guessed that eventually someone in the Western states would look at the app. It's not so surprising, really.
Yeah, well, maybe, but I don't think they would be like so harsh. I don't know. Maybe I'm like too benevolent with them, but
maybe the Human Rights Watch people have more of a reason to.
Yeah. I think they are more in the front line. Yeah. Is what I said in the talk. Like they were really the people like risking their lives and everything else. Like we're just answering questions, looking at code, answering questions. I don't think we are really. A target is more. It will be more like the human rights activists that are taking the risk and doing all the hard work.
Yeah.
So for I mean, some of the viewers of this will have seen the talk, and some of them will not have seen the talk. So basically, you looked at two different apps for the Chinese security state. One of them being an app used by police on their phones.
Yeah.
Where they did various things like report blood type, and they monitor power usage. One theory presented was by one of the audience was that they watch for power because it might be related to Bitcoin mining or something. And but apparently the Chinese state cares about how your power changes.
Yeah. I think it makes some sense. Like if somebody. Like, I'm just trying to think like them, right? Like trying to guess what their thinking is. And I think if somebody is doing something funny in their home, like somebody's electricity bill like multiplies by 4 or something. That might be. I mean, it's a legitimate concern for being like what they're up to, right? Like I think it's clever.
It's anomaly detection, basically.
Yeah. I think. It makes sense. Like if they don't have like privacy laws and all this, like we do, then why not? Like if they are into like gathering all this intelligence.
And if you don't care about high noisy factors, because that will probably spike for people who install a sauna or something, but they don't care that they send police to investigate people.
Yeah.
They don't have a sort of a respect or care. Hello.
That's true. Oh, sorry, we just got interrupted by another podcaster.
So, and the other app was something they forced people to install on their phones.
The last one, the BXAQ one,
Yeah.
That was I think it's not really they force people to install it. It's more like you have to give them your phone unlocked. Yeah. And then they install the app, they grab the data, they uninstall the app, and they give you the phone back.
Oh, so it's like a one-time thing.
It's more like you just handing them over the phone, they gather the data they care about, and then they give you your phone back.
So one of the things, it collected various things but about your phone, including what CPU ABI it was running.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like they're trying to figure out if you're vulnerable to exploits in the future or something?
Maybe, but in Android there's like so many exploits to choose from. If you're a government agency,
But now even just recently we saw the exploit chains for iOS as well. That were used presumably by Chinese government.
There was this news a couple of days ago, right?
But on iOS, what alarm, etc. it is on all the phones.
Sure.
Like this might be one of the bridges to make sure that you launch the correct Android exploit, which will actually work on the.
So it's an argument. It's not an argument against monoculture.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Cool, man. That's very interesting. Actually, one question about the BXAQ app. Do you know how prevalent it is to have that to be forced to install on your phone? Do you have any idea?
I was on the technical team, so I'm not really sure.
Anything from
but
the Emirates?
I think based on what we heard, it seems to be quite widespread, and I think it makes sense. Like if they don't have privacy laws, and they are into trying to find like potential like radical Islamic terrorism, and they don't have these laws, then why not? You know, that might be their thinking. You know,
yeah, probably.
And it's the kind of data that the NSA and other like government agencies in the US were found to be collecting as well, like who talks to who, like this is all the kind of police kind of intelligence they want. So from a police and investigation point of view, I think it makes sense to try. I mean, it's of course a privacy concern,
sure,
but from the government point of view and try to stop like extremists and things like this, I think it makes total sense to try to see who talks to who and try to find anomalies and try to do all this big data analysis to try to automate the whole thing and stop a terrorist attack before it happens. I don't think is the right thing to do.
Right, that's
but I understand.
Personal opinion.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. My personal opinion is I don't think it's right to do this because it's a privacy concern.
Yeah.
But I understand why they are potentially doing it because they probably can catch a lot of stuff like that.
And we're just
stuff that you would miss for sure if you wouldn't do it. Of course, the trade-off is you are like invading the privacy of people, and that's not cool. But I understand why they're doing it.
If you're that kind of state, then it makes sense that you would. I suppose. We'll just have to hope, I guess, that they're actually storing the data securely, so that it doesn't end up in the hands of even more people.
Well,
database dump like that would be
that would be quite massive.
But it was an issue a couple of months ago where some Chinese monitoring system got dumped. I don't recall exactly what it was, but there was one system which was found and you could download things from it.
Well, not surprising. Everything gets hacked eventually, I guess.
Yeah, matter of time.
Yeah. All right, Abe. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.